Have you ever said to yourself, I'll start tomorrow? Maybe it was studying English, maybe it was going to the gym, or maybe it was starting that dream project you've always wanted. But tomorrow came, and nothing changed. You kept waiting for motivation, like it was some magical wind that would suddenly push you to move. But here's the truth, my friend. Motivation is not coming to save you. If you keep waiting for it, you'll wait forever. Welcome to Fuel for English Life, where we don't just learn English, we learn life skills that transform who we are. Today, I want to share something that might change the way you see success forever. Because most people think success starts with motivation, but it doesn't. Success begins with motion, with action, even when you don't feel ready. Let me tell you something powerful. Every successful person you admire, whether it's an entrepreneur, an athlete, or even someone who speaks English fluently, didn't rely on motivation. They built habits. They built discipline. They took small, consistent actions even when they didn't feel like it. Motivation is a spark. It lights the fire. But habits, they keep the fire burning when the world gets cold. So in this episode, I'll show you 7 rules, 7 powerful truths to stop waiting for motivation and start building the habits that will change your life forever. If you're serious about mastering your English, your mind, and your future, stay till the end, because I promise your mindset will never be the same again. Rule 1. Action comes before motivation. Most people believe they need to feel good before they can take action. They say, when I feel motivated, I'll start studying. When I feel inspired, I'll go to the gym. When I have more energy, I'll change my life. But here's the painful truth. That day rarely comes. Motivation doesn't knock on your door in the morning. It doesn't whisper in your ear and tell you, hey, it's time to start now. If you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll waste weeks, months, even years of your life. Waiting. Let me tell you a story. There was a young man who dreamed of speaking English fluently. Every night, he watched YouTube videos of people speaking confidently, their words flowing like music. He thought, wow, I wish I could speak like that. But every time he decided to study, his mind whispered, not today, I'm tired, maybe tomorrow. And he listened to that voice again and again. Days turned into weeks, and nothing changed. One morning, he looked at himself in the mirror and asked, why can they do it, and I can't? And then, he heard a small voice inside him say, because they started even when they didn't feel like it. That one sentence changed everything. The next day, he woke up and didn't wait to feel motivated. He simply opened his notebook, played an English video, and repeated after the speaker. At first, it was uncomfortable. His tongue stumbled. His brain felt slow, but he didn't stop. He studied for 10 minutes, then 20, then an hour. And something incredible happened. After a few days of action, motivation finally appeared. You see, he discovered the secret. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Think about it like pushing a heavy car. At first it's hard. It barely moves. You push, and your muscles scream. But once it starts rolling, it becomes easier. Momentum builds. That's how habits work. That's how progress begins. When you start small, even when you don't feel like it, your brain learns something powerful. I can do this. And once you begin, your body and mind follow. Don't wait for inspiration. Don't wait for the perfect time. The perfect time will never come. You have to create it. Every time you take action, even a small one, you build self-respect. You prove to yourself that you're not controlled by feelings, but by purpose. And that's how you become unstoppable. So today, my friend, I want you to take one small step. Right now, open your English book. Watch a 5-minute English video. Repeat one new word. Do something. Because even the smallest step is stronger than the biggest excuse. Remember, you don't need motivation to start. You need to start to find motivation. That's the rule that separates dreamers from doers. Rule 2. Discipline is your real motivation. Let me tell you a secret. Most people never understand. You don't rise to the level of your motivation. You fall to the level of your discipline. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings are unstable. Some mornings you wake up full of energy. The sun is shining. You feel powerful and you think, today I'll change my life. But the next day, you wake up tired, distracted, maybe sad, maybe unmotivated. And if your progress depends on that feeling, you'll never be consistent. That's why successful people don't rely on motivation. They rely on discipline. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't want to, even when you're tired, even when no one is watching, even when your mind whispers, let's do it tomorrow. Let's imagine this. It's early morning. The alarm rings at 6 a.m. You don't want to get up. Your bed feels warm. Your mind says, just 5 more minutes. You could easily close your eyes again, but instead, you sit up. You take a deep breath. You put your feet on the floor. That moment right there, that's discipline. It's not dramatic. It's not exciting, but it's powerful. Because in that single decision, you prove to yourself that you are stronger than your feelings. Now, think about your English journey. If you study only when you feel like it, you'll never master it. But if you train your mind to study even when you're tired, bored, or busy, you're building the muscle that leads to fluency. That's how successful learners grow. Not through magic, but through momentum. Every small disciplined action is like planting a seed. At first, you see nothing. You water the soil every day. It looks the same. But deep underground, roots are forming. Strength is growing. And one day, the seed breaks through the surface. Strong, green, alive. That's what discipline does for your life. Discipline is like a loyal friend. It stays when motivation leaves. It's there when you're tired. It's there when you're lost. It's there when no one believes in you. Discipline whispers, keep going, even when the world is silent. Motivation makes you start, but discipline makes you unstoppable. Think of every successful person you admire. Millionaires, athletes, fluent speakers, confident leaders. Do you think they're motivated every day? Of course not. They just built routines so strong that they don't need to think. They just do. When you brush your teeth, you don't think about it. You just do it. That's what studying English, working hard, or building your dream should feel like. Automatic. The magic happens when your discipline becomes your default. When you no longer argue with yourself about whether you should do it. You just do. That's when you stop chasing motivation and start building momentum. And once you have momentum, nothing can stop you. Because you no longer need to feel good to do great things. Let me tell you something personal. Dear listener of Fuel for English Life. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you are rewriting your identity. You are saying to yourself, I am not lazy. I am not weak. I am becoming who I was meant to be. Every small victory, waking up early, studying 15 minutes more, finishing what you started, adds another brick to the wall of your new self. A stronger, wiser, unstoppable self. And one day, you'll look back and realize, you didn't need motivation all along. You just needed the courage to start and the discipline to never stop. Discipline is freedom. Freedom from excuses. Freedom from fear. Freedom from regret. Because when you have discipline, you no longer wait for the perfect day. You create it. You no longer wait for the perfect feeling. You build it. So from today, promise yourself this. Even when you don't feel ready, you'll show up. Even when it's hard, you'll do it anyway. Because you're no longer chasing motivation. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't need it. Rule 3. Build systems, not feelings. You see, most people make the same mistake when chasing success. They rely on how they feel. They say, I'll study English when I feel inspired. Or, I'll exercise when I feel ready. Or, I'll start that business when I feel confident. But feelings are like the weather. One moment bright and sunny, the next moment dark and stormy. You can't build your dream life on something that changes every few hours. What you need is not more motivation. You need a system. A routine that carries you even when your emotions can't. A system is like the invisible structure behind a tall building. You don't see it, but it's what keeps everything standing. It's the plan that guides your actions, the rhythm that holds you together. Think about it. When you have a system, you don't waste energy deciding what to do. You just follow your structure. You wake up, you do your morning routine, you learn English, you review, you repeat. That repetition, that quiet consistency, is what transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Let me tell you a story. There was once a young man who wanted to become fluent in English. Every day he told himself, "Tomorrow I'll start." But tomorrow kept running away from him. He watched motivational videos, he listened to podcasts, and for a few days, he felt powerful. But then, as life got busy, that feeling disappeared, just like smoke in the wind. One day, tired of his own excuses, he decided to stop chasing motivation and build a system. He created a daily plan. Wake up, make coffee, read one English paragraph aloud, learn 5 new words, and record 1 sentence speaking practice. It was small, but it was clear. The first week, he struggled. His mind tried to pull him back into laziness. You can skip today, it doesn't matter, but he didn't listen. He followed his system, even when his mood was low. A month passed, and something magical happened. He no longer needed to push himself. His routine carried him forward like a river. It wasn't about emotion anymore. It was about rhythm. He built momentum, and momentum, dear listener, is stronger than motivation. That's the beauty of a system. It works, even when you don't. When you have a system, your actions don't depend on how you feel. They depend on who you've decided to be. The truth is, our brain loves patterns. It loves consistency. Every time you repeat an action, your brain says, this is what we do now. That's how habits form. And once a habit is formed, you no longer need to fight yourself to do it. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't need motivation for that, right? You don't wake up and say, I don't feel inspired to brush today. You just do it because it's automatic. That's exactly what your English practice, your work, your fitness, your self-growth should become: automatic. That's the secret of high achievers. They don't chase inspiration. They design habits so powerful that their dreams become routine. In life, systems are the bridges between where you are and where you want to be. Feelings will fail you. Systems will save you. You might not always feel strong, but your structure will hold you up. You might not always feel ready, but your plan will move you forward. The system doesn't care if you're tired, it just asks you to show up. And when you show up every day, your results start showing up too. So build systems, dear listener of Fuel for English Life. Systems for your mind, your growth, your dreams. Write your plan, set your times, follow your rhythm. Because motivation may start the fire, but systems keep it burning. When you create a system, you're not just organizing your day, you're training your mind. You're teaching yourself that success is not an accident. It's the result of repeated actions done with purpose. Your dreams deserve that structure. Your goals deserve that commitment. Stop asking, how do I feel today? And start asking, what does my system say I should do? Because when your feelings fade, your system will still be there, like a silent engine pushing you forward. And that, my friend, is how ordinary people become unstoppable. Rule 4, discipline is greater than emotion. There comes a moment in every person's journey where the excitement fades. When the fire that once burned inside starts to dim. Maybe you felt it too. That moment when you tell yourself, I'm tired today. Maybe I'll continue tomorrow. And that one sentence becomes the silent thief of your dreams. You see, motivation is the spark that starts the engine, but discipline is the force that drives it through the storm. Emotion is what makes you begin, but discipline is what makes you finish. Let me take you into a real story. There was a boy named Arjun who dreamed of becoming fluent in English. He wanted to speak with confidence, to travel, to make his parents proud. In the beginning, he was on fire, waking up early, practicing new words, listening to English podcasts. For 2 weeks, he was unstoppable. But then, life happened. His friends invited him out. His exams got tough, and that early fire began to fade. I'll skip just one day, he said. But one day turned into two, two turned into three, and before he knew it, the dream he once chased started to slip away. One evening, sitting in his room, he looked at his English notebook, half filled, dusty, forgotten. He felt a wave of guilt crash over him. He thought, why can't I stay consistent? Why do I always lose motivation? But then, something inside him whispered, you don't need to feel good to do great things. That single realization changed his life. From that night, Arjun made a promise to himself to never depend on his emotions again. Whether tired, lazy, happy, or sad, he decided that discipline would be his new identity. The next morning, when his alarm rang at 5:30 a.m., he didn't wait to feel ready. He just stood up. He opened his notebook, read one paragraph aloud, and recorded his voice. It wasn't perfect, but it was done. And that's the truth, my friend. Discipline is doing what needs to be done, especially when you don't feel like doing it. It's the bridge between your dream and your reality. You can't cross that bridge with feelings. You cross it with consistency. In life, your emotions are like waves, some days high, some days low. But discipline is the surfboard that helps you stay balanced no matter how rough the sea becomes. If you learn to ride those emotional waves with discipline, nothing can drown your potential. Think about the greatest people on this planet: athletes, entrepreneurs, writers, speakers, and creators. Do you think they wake up every day feeling inspired? No. Most days, they feel the same as you. Tired, distracted, unmotivated. But they show up anyway. That's what makes them great. Let me tell you another story, one you might have never heard before. A young man once wanted to become a writer, but every time he sat down to write, he waited for inspiration. He told himself, when I feel creative, I'll start. But days passed, then months, and nothing happened. Until one day, an old mentor told him, write when you're inspired, but also write when you're not. Because true inspiration is not found before you start. It's found after you begin. Those words changed him. He began writing every morning, no matter how he felt. Some days his writing was terrible. Some days it was brilliant, but he kept going. Years later, he became one of the most successful authors in his country. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about showing up when it's hard. It's about keeping your promises to yourself. It's about saying, I don't care how I feel. I care about who I'm becoming. Because discipline is love. Not love for comfort, but love for growth. When you build discipline, you don't need to chase motivation. You create it. Every time you take action, even small action, your brain rewards you with a sense of progress. That feeling, that quiet pride, is stronger than any temporary burst of motivation. And slowly, something beautiful happens. You begin to trust yourself. You stop doubting. You stop waiting. You stop saying, one day, because you realize today is the day. You don't wait for the perfect moment. You make every moment perfect by showing up with discipline. So here's the truth, my dear listener, from Fuel for English Life. Motivation will get you started. Emotion will make you dream. But discipline will make you unstoppable. It's the silent power behind every success story you've ever admired. When your friends sleep, discipline keeps you awake. When your doubts whisper, discipline speaks louder. When your comfort zone tries to hold you back, discipline kicks the door open and says, we're not stopping here. If you want to master English, success, or anything in life, make discipline your best friend. Let it guide you, push you, and shape you into the person you're meant to become. Because the truth is, motivation is temporary, but discipline, it's eternal. And one day, when you look back, you'll realize it wasn't motivation that changed your life. It was the days when you didn't feel like doing it, but did it anyway. Rule 5. Start small, but stay consistent. The power of tiny steps. They say big dreams require big actions, but that's only half true. The truth is, big dreams are built from small, consistent steps. Every mountain is climbed one step at a time. Every fluent speaker once struggled with a single word. Every millionaire once saved a single coin. Every strong, confident person you admire started small and kept going, even when no one was watching. Let me take you on a little journey. A story that begins not with greatness, but with struggle. There was a man named Daniel. When he first tried to learn English, he failed miserably. He couldn't remember the vocabulary, couldn't pronounce words correctly, and whenever he spoke, people laughed at his accent. One day, after being embarrassed in front of his classmates, he almost gave up. He said to himself, "Maybe English isn't for me." But that night, something inside him whispered, "What if you don't quit this time? What if you just start small?" So he made a new plan, not a big one, not a perfect one, just a simple one. He decided to learn 5 new English words every day. That's it. No huge goals, no pressure, just 5 words. The next morning, he woke up early, wrote 5 words on a sticky note, and practiced them before breakfast. The day after, he did it again, then again, and again. Days became weeks, weeks became months. Slowly, his notebook filled with hundreds of new words. His accent improved, his confidence grew, and one day, when a foreign tourist came to his village, Daniel spoke fluently, naturally, without fear. The same classmates who once laughed now looked at him with respect. That's the quiet power of small steps. You see, success doesn't come from sudden bursts of motivation. It comes from tiny, invisible moments of effort that nobody sees. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to begin. Because the truth is, motivation fades, but momentum builds. When you start small, your brain says, "I can do this." And every time you follow through, you strengthen your identity. You go from trying to being. You stop saying, "I'm learning English," and start saying, "I'm an English speaker." You stop saying, "I want to be successful," and start saying, "I'm becoming successful." Even nature works this way. A seed doesn't grow into a tree overnight. It takes time, quiet, slow, invisible growth beneath the surface before it breaks through the soil. But every drop of water, every bit of sunlight counts. That's exactly how your progress works. You may not see results every day, but something inside you is growing. Every small effort compounds into something extraordinary. And remember this, consistency is more powerful than intensity. Doing one small thing every day is far better than doing a big thing once a month. Because habits are built through repetition, not emotion. You don't need to feel motivated every day. You just need to show up. Here's a secret that most people don't know. When you start small, you remove the fear of failure. You no longer say, "I can't do it." You say, "I'll just do a little." And when you do a little, consistently, that little becomes unstoppable. Think of the greats. Steve Jobs didn't build Apple in a day. He started in a small garage. Jack Ma didn't speak perfect English overnight. He practiced by giving free tours to foreigners. Every success story begins the same way. Small, consistent, invisible effort. You might not be where you want to be yet, but every small effort is moving you closer. When you repeat something every day, you're not just building a habit, you're rewiring your brain. You're teaching yourself discipline, patience, and trust. You're showing your future self that you are reliable, that you are strong, and that you are becoming. And the best part? Once you build the habit of showing up, motivation starts to follow you. It stops being something you wait for. It becomes something you create through action. Maybe you want to learn English, start a business, improve your health, or change your life. Don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for the perfect feeling. Just start small. Read one page, speak one sentence, take one action. Because in the end, greatness is not about how fast you go. It's about how long you can keep going. Small steps may not look impressive today, but one day, when you look back, you'll see that those tiny steps were the foundation of everything you've become. So, dear listener from Fuel for English Life, remember this. Start small, stay consistent, never stop. Because one day, All those small steps will lead you to a life that feels big. Not because of luck, not because of motivation, but because you refuse to give up when the world told you it didn't matter. And when that day comes, you'll smile and realize you didn't need motivation to change your life. You only needed the courage to start small and keep going. Rule 6. Discipline is doing it, especially when you don't feel like it. There's a powerful truth that most people don't want to hear. If you only work when you feel motivated, you'll never achieve anything great in life. Motivation is like the wind. It comes and goes, light and unpredictable. But discipline is the engine. It keeps you moving even when the wind stops blowing. Let's be honest. There are days when you don't feel like doing anything. You wake up tired, you scroll your phone, you think, maybe tomorrow. You wait for the perfect moment, the perfect feeling, the perfect mood. But it never comes. Because success doesn't wait for your feelings. Success belongs to those who move anyway. Let me tell you a story that shows what true discipline looks like. There was a young man named Hiroshi from Japan. When he was a student, his English was terrible. He failed his exams, couldn't understand movies, and every time he tried to speak, he froze. One day, after getting another bad grade, he walked home in silence, ashamed. But when he reached home, his father told him something simple. Hiroshi, don't worry about being perfect. Just promise me you'll study a little every single day, even when you don't feel like it. And Hiroshi did exactly that. He set a rule for himself. 1 page a day. Some days he read more. Some days he only read a few lines. But he never broke the chain. Even on his worst days, when he was sick or tired, he still opened his book, even for 5 minutes. Years later, Hiroshi became an English translator working for an international company. When people asked him how he learned so well, he didn't say, I was motivated. He said, I was consistent. That's the difference between dreamers and achievers. Dreamers wait for the perfect mood. Achievers show up, no matter the mood. Because here's the truth. Discipline is not about feeling good, it's about doing good. It's about doing what you said you'd do, even when you don't want to. It's about showing up tired, unmotivated, and unsure, but showing up anyway. Let's take an example from life. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't wake up every morning thinking, I'm so motivated to brush my teeth today. No, you just do it, because it's a habit. That's exactly what successful people do with their goals. They don't wait for motivation, they make action automatic. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is logical. Motivation says, I feel like it. Discipline says, I said I'd do it. And when you train yourself to keep your word, to do it anyway, your entire life changes. You stop being controlled by your feelings, and you start controlling your future. Every great person in history understood this truth. Michael Jordan practiced basketball even after winning championships. Jack Ma studied English even when he was rejected 10 times. J.K. Rowling kept writing Harry Potter even when publishers said no again and again. They all had one thing in common: discipline when motivation was gone. Now imagine this. You wake up one morning and you don't want to study English. You think, I'll skip today. But instead of skipping, you tell yourself, just 5 minutes. You open your notebook, you study a few words, and before you know it, you've spent 20 minutes learning. That's discipline in action. That's how habits are built. You don't need to move mountains every day. You just need to move yourself a little. When you practice discipline long enough, something magical happens. You begin to trust yourself. You stop making excuses. You stop saying, I'll do it later. You start saying, let's do it now. Discipline turns into identity. You no longer need to force yourself to act. It becomes who you are. There's a quote that says, motivation gets you started, but discipline keeps you going. So stop waiting for the perfect day. There's no perfect day. There's only today. And what you do today, especially when you don't feel like it, that's what defines your tomorrow. Think about it. Every day you delay your dream, it moves one step further away. But every day you take action, even a small one, it moves one step closer. The choice is always yours. You might not be in control of your feelings, but you are in control of your actions. So when your mind says, "Not today," smile and whisper, "That's exactly why I'm doing it today." Because the moment you act against resistance, you grow stronger. The moment you show up when it's hard, you become unshakable. The moment you choose discipline over comfort, you become unstoppable. This is how warriors are made. This is how success is born. And this is how your dreams stop being someday and start becoming today. So, dear listener, from Fuel for English Life, remember this. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need to feel strong. You just need to take the first step. Even when it's hard, even when it's small, even when no one believes in you. Because discipline isn't about perfection, it's about progress. One day, one action, one choice at a time. And when you master that, you'll realize you no longer need to wait for motivation, because you've built something far greater, the strength to keep going no matter what. Rule 7, fall in love with the process, not the outcome. If there's one truth that separates those who truly succeed from those who just wish, it's this: the successful fall in love with the process, not the prize. Everyone wants the result. Everyone dreams of fluently speaking English, becoming rich, confident, and successful. But very few are willing to fall in love with the quiet, unseen, repetitive process that leads there. The hours of practice, the early mornings, the lonely nights, the failures, and the patience. You see, motivation is obsessed with the outcome. Motivation says, "I'll be happy when I reach my goal." But discipline and passion say, "I'll be happy just by showing up and doing it." When you fall in love with the process, something magical happens. You stop needing motivation because the act itself becomes your reward. Think about it. The best writers don't write just to publish books. They write because they love putting words together. The best athletes don't train only for trophies. They train because they love the feeling of growth, sweat, and effort. The best English speakers don't study just to pass exams. They study because they love expressing themselves in a new language. Success is never a one-time explosion of effort. It's a slow burn, a gentle rhythm of consistent improvement. Every time you study when you don't feel like it, every time you show up when it's hard, every time you keep your promise to yourself, you're falling in love with the process. Let me tell you a story. There was a young woman named Maya who dreamed of becoming fluent in English. She started strong, motivated, excited, watching videos every day. But after 2 weeks, her energy faded. She felt bored, tired, and discouraged. One day, she said to herself, "Maybe I'm just not talented enough. Maybe this isn't for me." But her mentor told her something she never forgot. "Maya, stop chasing perfection. Start chasing progress. Don't study to impress. Study to improve, even a little bit every day." That night, something clicked in her heart. She stopped worrying about how far she had to go. Instead, she focused on enjoying the little steps, learning one new phrase, listening to one podcast, repeating one new sentence. She made it a game, and months later, she realized something incredible. She had become fluent, not because she waited for motivation, but because she fell in love with learning itself. That's the secret, dear listener. You don't need to force yourself to love every single moment, but if you can find even a small piece of joy in the work, you'll never quit. When you fall in love with the process, you stop counting days and start building a life. You stop asking, "How long will it take?" and start saying, "As long as it takes." You stop wishing to be at the finish line and start loving every step of the journey. The truth is, motivation is like sugar. It gives you a short rush. But love for the process is like oxygen. It keeps you alive. So, if you want to succeed, don't focus on results. Focus on rhythm. Don't say, "I'll study when I feel ready." Say, "I'll study every day until I become ready." Don't say, "I'll practice when I'm motivated." Say, "I'll practice until it becomes natural." And slowly, without realizing it, you'll become the kind of person who doesn't need motivation, because you've become the process itself. When you fall in love with the process, your dreams stop being something you chase. They start being something you live. Because it's not about waiting for the right feeling. It's about creating the right rhythm. It's not about the big moments of inspiration. It's about the quiet moments of consistency. And one day when you look back, you'll realize that those small daily efforts, the ones no one saw, the ones you thought didn't matter, those were the very moments that built your greatness. So don't chase motivation. Build habits. Don't wait for passion. Create momentum. Don't aim for perfection. Aim for progress. Fall in love with the process, because when you do, success will fall in love with you. Hey, my friend, if this message touched your heart, don't just listen, live it. Remember, success doesn't come to those who wait for motivation. It comes to those who build it. One habit, one action, one day at a time. If you're ready to reprogram your mind, build unstoppable habits, and grow every single day, then you belong here with us at Fuel for English Life. Hit that subscribe button right now, because every episode is designed to feed your mind, train your discipline, and help you become the best version of yourself in English and in life. This is your time. This is your journey. And remember, motivation fades, but you don't have to. Keep going. Keep growing. This is Fuel for English Life, where your mind becomes unstoppable.